right. So welcome to day 4 of this little TikTok series, this 30-day TikTok series, where every single day I post a specific tool to help you to stop binge eating. And I also come on live at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to go a little bit more in depth with you. And if there's any questions at the end, I can answer your questions. So what I want to talk about today is every single win that you experience on your journey to healing your relationship with food. I want you to treat it like it's a big freaking deal. So what I mean by this is every single time you don't give in to your binge urges, I want you to literally be bouncing off the freaking walls, so proud of yourself. Every single time you're able to stop eating when you're full, you should be celebrating yourself. Every single time you go out for dinner and you maybe even have some anxiety, but it's not as much as it used to be, that is a win. Having binge-free days is amazing, right? And you definitely want to celebrate binge-free days and binge-free weeks, and you're going to experience that on your journey. Oh, I see Caroline watching. Hey, Rebecca. Caroline was on yesterday. If you're tuning in, say hello. We're on day 4 of the 30-day challenge. So catch me live, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So, I don't know these people. Okay, as I was saying, hey, Ashley, hello, you guys. So having binge-free days and having binge-free weeks and having binge-free months is going to happen for you. But you can't just see a binge-free day or a binge-free week as a win and nothing else as a win. There are so many things that you're experiencing right now on your journey to healing your relationship with food that you never thought was possible. Eating without guilt, even if there's still, or even if there is still guilt, but there's less guilt, that's a win. Even if you just had a binge, but it wasn't as intense, it wasn't as long in duration, the intensity was less. You're able to maybe pull yourself out a little bit quicker. That's a big freaking deal. Where are you blocking yourself from experiencing pride and joy for how far you've come? It's so easy to think like, but I'm not binge free yet. But I'm so mad because I just binged again. But what can you celebrate? Even one of my clients that I'm working with right now inside of the Ditch Decade Diets Academy, that's where you get personalized coaching from me. And she shared that like she hasn't had a binge in so long, and she had a binge and she was frustrated and she was mad at herself and she was like, oh, I'm so mad. But then she said, she was like, hold on. This is actually a win. As frustrated as I am, this is a win because I haven't felt these feelings of disgust and bloat and inflammation in so long. So instead of her being like, oh, this is such a failure, she saw it as a win of like, I don't remember the last time I binged. So that's a big deal. It wasn't as intense. She's like, I didn't feel like I was going through like this complete out of body experience. That's a win. That's a massive, massive, massive win. But where are you diminishing your wins and you're like, oh, but I still binged? Hey, Regan. Somebody said, Alyssa said, is it possible to stop binge eating while pregnant? Yes, I'm actually working with a client inside of the Ditch Decade Diets Academy where you get personalized coaching, and I'm supporting her, and she's about to have her little baby soon. I'm so excited. But yeah, she's pregnant. She's in my program. We're working together, and yeah, she's been doing phenomenal. So if you want to chat about that, you can just message me on my Instagram. So I think a lot of the times, a lot of people go through periods of not celebrating themselves because there's fear of, but another binge is going to just happen tomorrow. Oh, okay, maybe I didn't give in to my binge today, but I'm probably going to binge tomorrow. I also have like a social event coming up on this weekend, and that's probably going to be a friggin' shit show. So I'm not even going to bother celebrating myself because I didn't binge today, because I'm probably going to binge tomorrow and I'm probably going to binge on Friday. How many of you guys do this? Right? It's like, I don't want to get too excited. I haven't binged in like 3 days, but I'm not going to celebrate myself because I'm probably going to binge tomorrow. Sarah's like, yep. I did this too when I was on my journey. And I think a lot of the times there is like this belief of like, it's too good to be true, right? Like, oh, well, I'm just going to binge again. But I also think there's also an aspect of like an identity of I'm a binge eater, and that can't happen for me. And when you identify yourself as a binge eater and you're like, this is who I am, literally, you can be having no binges day after day after day. And because you have this identity of I'm a binge eater, your brain is like, we haven't binged in 3 days? No, that's not who I am. I'm a binge eater. So literally, you'll go into your pantry and self-sabotage, even if you don't have an urge, because you're like, this isn't who I am. I'm not somebody who's consistent. I'm not somebody who can go 3 days without binging. I'm not somebody who can not feel the urge. Like, no, this isn't me. And this is when self-sabotage happens. Sarah's like, I do that all the time. Yes, too good to be true, right? But you are robbing yourself from actually making progress, because when you celebrate yourself and you don't think about what's going to happen, you celebrate yourself in the moment, you literally get a boost of momentum. You remind yourself of how far you're coming, not how far you still have to go and what's going to happen tomorrow, because it actually doesn't matter. Even if you didn't binge for 3 days and then you have a massive binge on the weekend, let's just say for an example, that binge does not discredit 3 days binge free. If you are able to be home alone and not binge, and then the next time you do it and you're home alone and you binge, that does not take away from the fact that you did not binge that time when you were home alone. Is this making sense? Drop a yes in the chat if you're like, yeah, heck yes, this makes sense. I need to remember this 100%. And it's sometimes it's like, oh, but it's not that big of a deal. Like, I still felt guilty. I know it was a little bit less, but like, I just don't want to have any guilt. Okay, but you're going to get there. You're not going to get there if you don't celebrate the fact that you had less guilt. You're not going to get to binge-free months if you can't even celebrate the fact that you had a binge-free day. If you can't celebrate yourself for having a binge-free day, hey, Dawn, when you have a binge-free month, you're still going to say it's not good enough. But it's not been a year yet. Just like the number on the scale, right? When you've lost weight in the past, maybe you've lost 5 pounds, you're like, yeah, but it's not good enough. I need to lose more weight. But you're still not happy even when you lose 10 pounds, because it's not about the weight. It's about how you feel about yourself. So same with celebrating yourself. And if you can't celebrate yourself because you didn't binge one day and you're like, oh, but that's not that big of a deal, then even when you have a month, you're going to say, oh, like, whatever, probably going to binge next month, right? And it's like self-sabotage, self-sabotage, self-sabotage. Every single day inside of my membership, inside of Conquer, inside of the Academy, we literally, like, there's a win section in our community, and everyone's celebrating wins after wins after wins after wins, because it's so important. Where are you not celebrating yourself? And do you have people that can celebrate with you? You know, I'll never forget this one time I share this so many times. I'm sorry if you guys get annoyed at this story, but like, it was just so profound. There was this one time in December when it was like Christmas time, and I reached for apple pie. And normally at social events, I used to never have sweets because everyone knew me as like the healthy one in in the family group or the friend group, and I would never have sweets, and I would just like, as soon as my guests would leave, I would just binge because nobody can know. And I remember reaching for the apple pie and I just like grabbed it. This was 2019. I just grabbed the apple pie and I started eating the apple pie. No guilt, no urge to binge, with like pure confidence. Like, this is what I'm feeling like. And I had it. And I remember telling Andrew, my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, I just had apple pie. I didn't feel guilty. And like, it just felt normal. And he was like, oh, like, like it was nothing. He was like, okay. Like, he didn't understand how big of a deal it was. But I'm like about to like shit my pants because I'm like, holy moly, like this is a big deal. I'm like, I haven't been able to do this in years. And I was like freaking out. And I remember telling him, and he was just like, oh, like, okay. And he wasn't trying to like brush me off. He just didn't realize how big of a deal it was for me. And then when I was part of a community, I remember telling them, and they were like, oh my gosh, like they get it, right? You know, the people that get it, right? So I just felt so special and I felt so seen. And I was like, yes. And this is why I have my community. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing the live. I appreciate you. This is why I created my community, because celebrating yourself is so important. So I want you to drop in the chat, what can you celebrate this week? What's a win for you? I don't freaking care how small you think it is. It's a big deal. Make it a big deal. My husband just tells me don't do it. Okay. I know. I hear ya. This is why like getting support from somebody who's gone through binge eating is so helpful. So what's a win? Share a win in the chat. Maybe you're like, you know, I was able to have a cookie and I didn't feel as guilty, or maybe I didn't act on an urge last week. Anyone want to share a win? One of my clients, and this is something I think as well too, I think sometimes there's almost like guilt, or like I don't deserve to share my wins, and that is so BS. So BS. Like, you are so worthy of celebrating your wins. And my client inside of the membership, she said, first of all, she's like, I can't even remember the last time that she binged. I think it's probably been like 6 months or something. And she was like, you know, it's been 2 weeks. Her husband is away traveling for work. She has 2 little kiddos, no help at home, and that's stressful. And normally, stress would trigger a binge for her. And she's like, not only have I not binged, even in this 2 weeks, being home alone with no help, 2 kids by herself, no husband, but she's like, I'm better able to handle life situations because she's not thinking about food and calories all day long. Big ass win. And she was like, so scared to like share that win. She was like, you know, like, I don't really feel comfortable sharing this. And I was like, this is a massive win. And the whole community is like celebrating her. It's a big freaking deal. Adrienne says, haven't been since Saturday. Heck freaking yes, girlfriend. Let's freaking go. Let's freaking go. Sarah said, I haven't been today. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, amazing. And also remember, you guys, again, it's not just about I haven't binged since X date or I haven't binged today, but it's also like, you know, even like I said, one of my clients, she was like, even if you have a binge, she was like, it wasn't as intense. That's a win. Or, you know, maybe you're like, you know, I had a little bit more chocolate than normal, but I was able to like pull myself out, and I wasn't really going through that out of body experience. It was more overeating versus binge eating. Big ass win. Like, that's so big, you guys. There are things I guarantee that you are experiencing right now that you never thought was possible. And are you brushing them off like it's not a big deal? Oh, but I'm not binge free yet. Okay, well, you're going to get there when you celebrate these wins that you think are so little that they don't deserve to be celebrated. And I'm here to tell you, I've seen it with so many of my clients, when you celebrate these, I don't even like to say small wins, but these wins that you feel maybe aren't as significant, you will progress your relationship far faster. I don't know why I'm doing this whole clapping thing today. I'm just like fired up because I want to just like celebrate the crap out of you guys. It's so important. Don't worry about, I can't celebrate this win because what if tomorrow I sabotage? That's tomorrow. How about today? You need to be celebrated. And again, it's not just binge-free days, binge-free weeks, binge-free months. It's, I'm able to do things with food that I never thought was possible. What are you able to do now that once seemed so impossible? Maybe even like my client, she stopped binging and she's kind of doing a little bit of overeating, but she's like, holy, like, I just need to take a moment. Like, although I'm frustrated that I'm still overeating, like the fact that I haven't binged in months, massive. So where does your mind go? Oh, I'm still overeating. Oh, that sucks. Or are you like, wow, I'm a freaking badass. I haven't binged in so long. Yeah, I'm still overeating, but that's a big deal. Where is your mind? Jessica said, any tips on preventing a binge when you feel the need to? Yes. So I am big on using brain-based tools and nervous system regulation techniques to becoming less impulsive. So three things that you can do the next time you feel the urge to binge. Again, you can do just one of them. Shaking or movement, breath work, or cold therapy. So I'm going to break these down for you. So when you feel the urge to binge, right, your body is wanting a state change. Your body is wanting to feel different. So right now when the urge comes on, it's like so uncomfortable. And this is why you can't think your way out. This is why you can't just distract yourself, read a book. Your body doesn't change. Your state doesn't change. You literally just think about food so much more. How many of you guys tried distracting yourself or like telling yourself like, just don't do it? That won't prevent a binge. It doesn't stop a binge, right? Because you still feel that uncomfortable urge. Going for a walk, you're like thinking about food the whole time. You're trying to read a book and you're like reading the lines and all you're thinking about is like the chocolate in the cupboards. So instead, if you either do number one, shaking. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you like my hair. Lauren, thank you. I haven't seen you in so long. Now you got to see me on TikTok. Okay. So number one is either shaking or movement. So when you're feeling the urge to binge and you stand up and you literally start shaking your body, and I know it looks hilarious and it looks like you're just going crazy, but when you shake your body, even if you just do this for like 30 seconds, you're going to create a state change in your body. And that's what your body is actually longing for, right? It's going to regulate your nervous system and it's going to help you become less impulsive with food. So shaking, movement, getting your heart rate up is going to be really effective. Number two is breath work. So even a simple, like just a quick exhale through your mouth as you snap your belly in. Do that for like 30 seconds, take a break, complete that 3 times. Again, it creates a state change. And then the third option when you feel the urge to binge is cold therapy. So maybe you've heard of like cold tubs. We actually have one in our backyard. But even hopping in a cold shower, splashing cold water on your face. One of my clients did this the other day and was like, I didn't even binge. So those 3 things are far more effective than trying to think your way out. When you're trying to think your way, like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. What do you want to do? You want to binge. But when you create a state change, yes, shaking and cold therapy have worked for me. Absolutely. When you just tell yourself, like, don't binge, you want to binge. That's just like, don't have chocolate, then all you're thinking about is chocolate. So again, it's like if you utilize these tools that can literally take you 30 seconds to a minute, you'll notice your body feels different. When back in 2019, the thing that really worked for me was the cold shower. I like hated it, but I would come out of the shower and I would just feel like so energized, so like refreshed. And it's like the urge wasn't even there. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that these are like magical solutions, you guys. Like obviously learning how to prevent urges from arising in the first place is going to be helpful. You know, there's so many other things. You got to still release your food rules. You got to release judgment. There's so many other things, but these tools are more effective than just like relying on motivation. You can shake, honestly, just like put on one song. Like literally go on Spotify and just like put on one song for like 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 3 minutes. That will be helpful. How do you not let guilt get to you when you binge? Well, here's the thing. So you have to remind yourself that binging is part of the process. Nobody likes hearing that, but it's the truth. If you say, okay, today's day one, I'm healing my relationship with food, and then you binge the next day, you can't be beating yourself up, right? Now, especially if you don't have like if you don't have tools to regulate your nervous system, if you don't have tools to get rid of your urges, then you should definitely not be feeling guilt because you don't even know what to do. Now, if you have the specific tools, I don't believe you're a client in the membership. Who asked this? No. Oh, Paige. But once you have the tools and you're not using them, that's a different story. But if you don't know what to do, don't be beating yourself up. Like in 2018, I was like getting mad at myself every single day. Like, you should be able to figure this out. Like, why haven't you stopped binge eating yet? But I didn't know what to do. So how can you expect yourself to not feel guilty when like you don't know what to do or you're not doing anything different, right? So when you have specific tools and you can use them, you're going to be binging less. The guilt will dissipate, but also just when it comes to guilt, reminding yourself that I don't know how long you've binged for, Paige, but this is a habit. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to reprogram your brain, but guilt just fuels the binge cycle. So every single time that you let guilt take over, you are not only are you robbing yourself of so much joy, but the guilt is an emotion. And when you feel a certain emotion like guilt, and then you feel frustrated, then you feel angry and you feel mad at yourself, and you're like, oh, I'm never going to stop binge eating. And then that can actually create another binge. Where are you robbing yourself of life by letting guilt take over? Are you saying, and I'm not directly to you, Paige, I'm just saying in general for all of you guys, it's like when you binge at 3:00 in the afternoon, do you let the whole day be a write-off? I used to say, I can't wait for the next day to come. And I realized like I was robbing myself of so many hours where I could be living my life. And it sucks to binge. I get it. And it's frustrating. And give yourself 90 seconds to be mad, to be frustrated, punch a pillow, scream in your car, do whatever you got to do, emote. But then remind yourself, if I sit here and I just let the guilt marinate, I'm not going to feel any better. I'm just going to marinate in shame, guilt, and frustration. Like that's not going to propel me forward. So how do I want to feel instead? What can I do today what can I do in this moment that's going to make me feel better? And maybe that's like putting on Netflix and just like chilling. Maybe it's like, I need to get some fresh air. Maybe it's like, you know what? I'm going to book myself a massage because like, I'm just going to give myself some self-love. Like that is so much better than I'm just going to sit here and, oh my God, I'm such a failure, and like letting the whole guilt ruin your day. If you have tools, you need to use them. Yes, Grace. Yes, yes, yes. You guys, like, if you've been here for a while, you know that I always say action equals results, right? To stop binge eating, you have to be willing to do things differently in order to get a different result. So if right now you're binging and you're feeling out of control and you are, not allowing yourself to eat certain foods, you're having all these food rules, you have to take a different action in order to experience a different result. Action equals results. You can know all the things of what to do, right? You can know don't give in to your urges. That's not going to change your life. What's going to change your life is not giving into your urges. What's not going to change your life is knowing, oh, I shouldn't feel guilty. What's going to change your life is reminding yourself that the guilt, I'm just robbing myself of so much joy, and I'm going to choose to release it. Right? Great questions. Hey, Catherine. How to get rid of sugar cravings. So I actually just talked about cravings yesterday. First of all, cravings aren't bad, But when it comes to sugar, so there's two things I'm going to say. Number one is anytime you have sugar or foods like higher in sugar, carbs, fat, it lights up the brain's reward center and you get a boost of dopamine. And your brain remembers this feel good feeling. And so the brain, like, you don't get this from broccoli. Okay. You don't get a dopamine hit from broccoli or chicken, right? So you have sugar and your brain's like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. This was so good. I want more. And then this is where it's like the next day you feel like you need more and you need more and you need more. And this is why, like, after like Halloween or like if you have like a weekend away and you have more sweets than normal, that's when it's like so hard to like get out of that sugar cycle because your brain's like dopamine, 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 dopamine. However, okay, hand on people, blah. However, when you start honoring your cravings and you allow yourself to have the cookie, to have the ice cream, to have this, to have that, you don't get such a huge dopamine hit as when you do when you binge. So a lot of people were like, well, Lorna, if you're telling me that I get this dopamine hit when I have sweets, then I probably shouldn't have sweets. No, because then you're going to deprive yourself and then you're going to binge and then your dopamine hit is going to be a million times larger versus a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, right? You still get a dopamine hit, but it's like, it's not that big as when you binge. And actually, when you allow yourself to have the cookies more often, you don't want them as often. This is how it works. This is how we reprogram, retrain our brains. So if you have any other questions, please drop them down below. By the way, you guys, I'm doing a giveaway for 2 people. For anyone who leaves a rating and a review on the Ditch Decade Diets podcast, 2 of you guys are going to be winning a free masterclass with me. So if you have not entered the giveaway, I'm going to be choosing 2 people at the end of this week. You just have to make sure you message me and say done, or take a screenshot of the rating and the review so that I can actually message you if you win. So if you guys want to do that right now, like literally, I give you permission to get off this live or just like mark it down. 2 people are going to be winning at the end of this week. So if you've already done it, please message me and say that you've already left a rating and review. If not, you can do it now. And then 2 people will win a masterclass with me. Okay, are there any other questions that you guys have? Hey, Allie just popped on. Nicole just popped on. Mila just popped on. Hey, Grace. And Grace is back. Any other questions? Make sure to enter the giveaway, you guys. My masterclasses are fire. My masterclasses are so good. If you find this helpful, like just wait till you actually get into like a masterclass training with me. Hey, Sophia, we're just doing a little bit of a Q&A at the end here. So if you have any questions, Shannon, if you're popping on, Deanna. If not, I will just pop off. I will be back tomorrow. I know sometimes it takes a minute for you guys to like type your questions. How do we enter? Okay, all you need to do is go to the podcast. So the Ditch Decade Diets podcast, you can listen to it on Apple or Spotify. And you just leave a rating and a review. And then once you do that, just screenshot it and message me and say done. And I will put your name in a giveaway. So that, or not in a giveaway. I'll put your name aside and then I will be drawing a winner, 2 winners at the end of this week. How do I lose weight without going back to binge eating? You have to stop binge eating. You have to heal your relationship with food. You got to get rid of your urges. If you don't get rid of your urges, the urges are still going to pop up. So that's step 1. That's step 1. When we were done with the rating, do we message you on TikTok? Yep, you can message me on TikTok or you can message me on my Instagram, whatever floats your boat, whatever you'd like. As long as I just get the message, because I won't be able to put your name in the draw if I don't know who the rating is from. if I allow myself my favorite high carb sugar foods, I always want more and still end up in a binge. That's because you still have urges. This is why, you guys, I always talk about you have to get rid of your urges. The only reason you keep going back for more and end up in a binge is because there's still urges. It still is this feeling in your body, like this compulsion. I used to always think like I can't have chocolate chip pancakes because every time I have chocolate chip pancakes, I binge. And that was because I had a unhealthy relationship with food and I still had binges. Or sorry, I still had urges. And once I healed my relationship with food and I got rid of my urges, now I'm able to have any foods that I want without binging. And you will be able to do that as well too. But you have to heal your relationship with food. You have to get rid of your urges. If I was even just talking to somebody else and they said the same thing, like, if I have something sweet, I just end up in a binge. But what are you doing differently? If we just say, oh, fingers crossed, like, I hope I didn't binge today, that's not going to change anything that's in your brain, right? That's not going to change anything. So you have to make peace with those foods. You have to stop judging yourself for eating those foods because judgment also blocks your body's ability from experiencing pleasure and satisfaction. So even when you're having those higher sugary carb foods, it's like you're not even enjoying it because you're just like beating yourself up the whole time. And then it's really hard to feel satisfied. So again, changing your relationship with it and learning how to get rid of your urges is going to help you be able to have all of those foods without binging. Great question, Flo. All right, you guys. Okay, we are going to wrap up. So be sure to leave a rating and a review on the Ditch Decade Diets podcast. Message me done with a screenshot so I can put your name in the giveaway. And I will be choosing 2 winners at the end of this week to win a free masterclass. I cannot wait. It's going to be fantabulous. It's going to be so good. So thank you guys for being here. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye. Have a good weekend as well too. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.